Welcome to the You're Not Crazy podcast, hosted by Jessica Knight, a certified life coach who specializes in healing from narcissistic and emotional abuse. This podcast is intended to help you identify manipulative and abusive behavior, set boundaries with yourself and others, and heal the relationship with yourself so you can learn to love in a healthy way. You can connect with Jessica and find additional resources, content, and coaching at emotionalabusecoach.com.
Hello, and thank you for being here. Before we dive in, I want to go through the fine print and share how we can work together. Because healing from this kind of pain takes a lot more than time. It takes the right kind of support. I work with people entangling themselves from emotionally abusive relationships, coercive control, trauma bonds, high conflict co-parenting dynamics, high conflict divorce, and if you're at the beginning of the road and wondering what divorce would look like. I offer one-on-one coaching at every stage. If you're still in the relationship, if you're unsure if it's abuse, if you know it's abuse but you're having trouble understanding what that looks like, or what to do with it, I can help you name what's happening, start setting boundaries that work for you, and figure out what you need. If you're thinking about leaving, we'll explore what that might look like in a grounded and personalized way. If you're navigating divorce or custody or co-parenting with a high conflict person, I can help you document, strategize, and stay emotionally anchored, especially when you're being gaslit, discredited, and re-traumatized by the legal system. If you've already left and you're stuck in the trauma bond, or if you've been discarded and struggling to feel like yourself again, I can help you rebuild self-trust and reconnect with your own nervous system in a way that actually feels doable. Everything I do is highly personalized. I don't walk you through a one-size-fits-all program. I listen, I reflect, and I guide you based on what you're facing right now. And some people work with me through a one-time validation call, which is offered on my website, where we zero in on one issue you're struggling with and start to untangle it together. Others work with me on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on what's going on in your specific situation. And this is especially helpful when healing from emotional abuse and also in divorce. If you're curious about starting, I offer a $25 intro call, which if you listen to my older episodes, I call it a clarity call. It used to be free, and I talk about it at a later episode, but really a lot of people were no-showing to those calls, and that was taking away time from clients that I do work one-on-one with. And so if we move forward, I just take that fee and apply it to your first session. That intro call is just for us to get on the same page so you can share what's going on for you and I can share how I might be able to help. I only take a limited number of those calls per month because one-on-one coaching is the core of my work. Out of all these offerings that I have, one-on-one coaching is the thing that I do the most, and I do it 6 days a week most of the time, 5 to 6 days a week. And so if my calendar looks full and if there's not a time that you can get in, you can email me at jessicaknightcoaching.com, and I always try and make space where I can. And I may also always have a few openings from one-on-one client reschedules. You can also explore self-paced courses and toolkits at jessicaknight.thinkific.com, including Divorcing a Narcissist 101 and the Emotional Abuse Breakthrough course. I have a documentation course and my new signature program, Unhooked, which is a private podcast and course that walks you through the full cycle of abuse, helps you map it in your relationship and how to break it and how to begin to see what it really is that you're going through. If you want ongoing support in a more flexible way, you could always check out my Substack at jessicaknight.substack.com. Each month I focus on a different theme, from trauma bonding to divorce to cluster B to sexual coercion to emotional abuse to toxic breakups. Those are just some from this year. Paid members get access to monthly deep dives, master classes, Q&As, strategy kits, and I'm working on some more group options. There is also a free option and a monthly option. So please head over to Substack. The link is in my show notes. You also can just search Jessica Knight Coaching and I'll come up. Everything that I create is meant to help. My coaching, my writing, my courses, this podcast, it's built around the one truth that you're not crazy. You are conditioned to doubt your reality, and I want to help you change that and understand what you're going through. If you like this podcast, the best thing that you can do is subscribe and rate the episode 5 stars. You can find me on my websites, emotionalabusecoach.com and high-conflict divorcecoaching.com. All of the offerings that I just mentioned are also in the show notes below. Now let's get to the episode.
I was talking to a client this week and they were talking about this pattern of when the high conflict person, cluster B, abuser, manipulator, any word you want to put in there, is fighting, is doubling down, is blaming, is getting stuck in this cycle. And then it ends, and maybe it ends because you stop fighting, or it ends because you give up, or it ends because they leave or you leave, like something happens, and the next day or the hour later or whatever, you're still on it in some way, right? Like you haven't healed. It's like if you got a bruise, your body wouldn't be healed completely the next day. It would take time, and it would take probably a long time for that to get better, especially if you're not doing anything to help it. It makes me think about, like, I got a 2nd-degree burn from my daughter spilling tea on me last year. And that process it took a long time to heal from it. And it was like so touch and go. And I think about our emotions and abuse and how we recover from it very similarly to physical, because it takes time and it takes a big toll on us. And a lot of times people will say, like, I just don't get how he can get up and move on the next day, or I don't get how she seems fine. Like, how could she be fine? Like, my world feels like it just ended. And then they might be like, oh, I'm going out for coffee. You want something? Or, hey, I'm running to the store. Is there anything I can get for you? And you're like, you literally ended the relationship 5 minutes ago. And now what is going on? Right. Or, yesterday I was the worst person to walk this planet, but today you're wanting to have coffee. Like, and if you've ever seen that quote on Instagram that says something like, for me, that was a deeply traumatic moment that I might not ever stop thinking about. But for you, it was a fucking Tuesday. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like always being in that situation where it's like playing ping pong, but there's nobody on the other end of the table. And it almost seems sometimes like they exhale something heavy, but you have to inhale it, right? Like that energy is now on you. They have to get it out, and now it's on you. And I think that's a part of abuse nobody talks about, that the abuse is not just what's said, it's what gets transferred in that way, because they walk away lighter somehow, and you're left carrying the weight of something that was never yours. And to me, I think it looks like this. That first, the narcissist, the abuser, toxic person, whatever, sub any word you need in there, lightens their toxic load by dumping their anger onto us and into us. And then we carry that around for them. And because we're not allowed to feel anything, we're forced to repress our own natural rage at the abuse that we just went through. And I think it's one of the hardest things to name to people that don't, quote unquote, get it, because it's not just about the words or the outbursts. It's about what happens afterwards and how we have to internalize so much of that. When a narcissist explodes, it's not to resolve a problem. And if we start to think about it that way, communication, like when we communicate something to someone, it's like a means to an end, right? When they communicate to us, it's usually to offload or to blame or to shame or to something. Explode, it's not to resolve a problem. It's to transfer their discomfort. It's like they can't tolerate their own shame or frustration, so they have to give it to you. And when they erupt, scream, blame, accuse, it's not because they're trying to work through a disagreement or resolve something. It's not them being vulnerable. It's deliberate. It's almost like they were relieving themselves of whatever inner tension they're feeling, shame, fear of inadequacy, or a sense that their ego might crack. And these emotions are intolerable to them. So they act like they must go, and then you're the target. And in these moments, the narcissist becomes this like pressure cooker with no capacity for any regulation or self-regulation. And then rather than just confront their own discomfort like a functioning adult would, they look at someone else to hold it for them, someone to dump it onto, someone to blame, to raise their voice, or they'll twist facts and they launch into assassinating your character to turn the spotlight away from their personal flaws. And before you even realize what's happening, a lot of the time, you're drowning in emotions that even aren't yours. I used to describe this as like being on trial before even waking up that day. Like I already had like a list of things that I was going to be blamed for before I even opened my eyes. They make you the problem so that they don't have to feel like one. And once that transfer is complete, once they've offloaded enough of their own toxicity, they suddenly feel better, regulated, and as if they self-soothed, even though they didn't.